In the depths of Islamic tradition lies a story so profound, so mysteriously beautiful, that it has remained hidden from most believers for centuries. This is the extraordinary account of Prophet Keed, peace be upon him, the immortal servant of Allah, standing as the eternal guardian, protecting the blessed body of our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, from the whispers and schemes of the devil himself. What you are about to hear will transform your understanding of divine protection, of loyalty that transcends death, and of the unseen forces that continue to safeguard the most sacred of all creation. This is not merely a story of the past, but a living reality that continues to this very moment in the blessed city of Medina, where miracles unfold in silence and devotion knows no bounds. The name Keed itself means the green one, and those who have been blessed to witness him describe a figure whose very presence brings life to the barren, hope to the hopeless, and protection to those whom Allah holds most dear. He is the mysterious prophet, who appears when faith is tested, who guides the lost, and who serves as Allah's special emissary in moments of greatest need. To understand this magnificent story, we must first journey back through time to the era when Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, walked among us with his blessed feet upon this earth. The year was 6030 CE, and the greatest light that had ever illuminated humanity was preparing to return to his Lord. The Prophet, peace be upon him, who had carried the weight of delivering Allah's final message to mankind, who had endured persecution, exile, and countless trials for the sake of truth, was nearing the end of his earthly mission. In those final days, as the angel of death, Azrael, prepared to fulfill his divine command, something extraordinary was taking place in the unseen realm. Allah, in his infinite wisdom and boundless mercy, was preparing a protection for his most beloved messenger that would extend far beyond the boundaries of life and death. The body that had carried the Qur'an in its heart, the lips that had recited divine revelation, the hands that had been kissed by angels, would require a guardian of unparalleled dedication and supernatural ability. When the moment arrived and the blessed soul of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, departed from this world to meet his Lord, the entire universe trembled with grief. The sun seemed dimmer, the moon appeared to weep, and even the stones and trees that had once greeted him with Assalamu alayka ya Rasulallah fell into mournful silence. The companions, may Allah be pleased with them, gathered around the blessed body, their hearts shattered by the magnitude of their loss, yet still radiating with the light of faith that their beloved teacher had instilled within them. But in the realm beyond human perception, another drama was unfolding. The devil, that eternal enemy of righteousness, that accursed being who had vowed to lead humanity astray until the end of time, sensed an opportunity in this moment of transition. If he could somehow defile or harm the blessed body of the one who had been the source of divine guidance, if he could corrupt even in death the physical form that had carried the message of truth, then perhaps he could strike a blow against faith itself. The devil's hatred for Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, burned with an intensity that had grown over 23 years of revealed verses that had shattered his illusions and exposed his deceptions. Every ayah of the Qur'an had been like a sword piercing his dark heart. Every prayer led by the Prophet had been like chains binding his influence. Every moment of the Prophet's blessed life had been a testament to the power of divine guidance over satanic whispers. But Allah, who sees all and knows all, who protects his chosen servants in ways beyond human comprehension, had already set in motion a plan of protection that would span eternity. In the moments following the Prophet's passing, as the companions prepared for the washing and shrouding of the blessed body, a figure appeared in the chamber that defied all earthly logic. He was tall and majestic, with a face that radiated both ancient wisdom and eternal youth. His beard was thick and lustrous, neither completely black nor completely white, but shimmering with a light that seemed to come from within. His clothing was of the purest green, the color of paradise itself, and his eyes held the depth of someone who had witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations, who had walked with prophets and conversed with angels. This was Keed, peace be upon him, the immortal servant whose story intertwines with the greatest moments of divine intervention throughout history. The same Keed who had appeared to Musa, peace be upon him, and taught him lessons of divine wisdom that transcended human understanding. The same mysterious figure who had drunk from the fountain of life and been granted immortality to serve Allah's purposes until the end of time. Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, the closest companion and the most steadfast friend of the Prophet, was the first to notice the presence of this extraordinary visitor. As the Caliph looked up from his overwhelming grief, his eyes met those of Keed, and in that moment a communication took place that needed no words. The understanding passed between them, like light traveling through crystal, pure and instantaneous. Keed approached the blessed body with a reverence that made even the angels pause in their movements. He knelt beside the form of the one who had been the seal of all prophets, and with tears flowing down his ancient cheeks, he whispered words that only Allah could hear. My beloved brother in faith, my guide in righteousness, though your blessed soul has returned to its Creator, I shall remain here to guard what you have left behind. No evil shall touch this sacred form, no whisper of the one shall disturb your rest, for as long as Allah grants me breath and strength, I shall be your sentinel. The companions watched in wonder as this mysterious figure, whose very presence filled the room with an indescribable peace, began what would become an eternal vigil. They understood through divine inspiration that they were witnessing something beyond the ordinary course of human events, something that belonged to the realm of miracles and divine mystery. As the rituals of washing and preparation began, Keed, peace be upon him, positioned himself in such a way that he could observe every movement, every person who approached the blessed body. His vigilance was not that of a mere guard, but of a devoted servant, whose love for Allah manifested in his protection of Allah's most beloved messenger. Every breath he took was a prayer, every heartbeat a declaration of faith, every moment of his watch a testament to the eternal bond between the servants of the Most High. The devil, meanwhile, prowled the boundaries of Medina like a rabid wolf, sensing the presence of something that blocked his malevolent intention. He could not understand what force was preventing him from approaching the blessed grave, what power was creating an invisible barrier that his dark influence could not penetrate. In his arrogance and ignorance, he attempted again and again to find a way to reach the sacred resting place. But each time he was repelled by a force that burned him like divine fire. What the devil did not know was that Keed's protection extended far beyond the physical realm. The immortal prophet had been granted by Allah the ability to perceive the approach of evil from dimensions beyond human sight, to sense the slightest whisper of corruption before it could take form in the material world. His very presence created a sanctuary of such purity that no evil could survive within its boundaries, a sacred space where only righteousness could exist. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and still Keed, peace be upon him, maintained his watch. The companions came and went, leading prayers, governing the rapidly expanding Muslim community, spreading the message of Islam to distant lands. But always they found comfort in knowing that their beloved Prophet's resting place was under the protection of this blessed God. There were nights when the devil's frustration reached such heights that he would gather his legions of lesser demons and launch coordinated attacks against the invisible barriers surrounding the Prophet's grave. But Keed, peace be upon him, would simply recite verses from the Qur'an, and the very words that had been revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, would become like swords of light cutting through the darkness, sending the forces of evil fleeing in terror and pain. The Qur'an itself seemed to come alive in Keed's voice, each word carrying the power that had first descended upon the Prophet in the cave of Hira. Qul hu, Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad. Say, He is Allah, the One, Allah the Eternal, Absolute. He begets not, nor is he begotten, and there is none like unto him. These words would echo through the chamber like thunder, and even the stones of the walls would vibrate with divine energy, creating a resonance that purified everything within its reach. As time passed, Keed, peace be upon him, began to notice that his protection was needed not only against the external threats of the devil, but also against the internal struggles of faith that would challenge the Muslim community. Whenever divisions arose among the believers, whenever doubts crept into hearts, whenever the purity of Islamic teaching was threatened by innovation or deviation, he would increase his prayers and supplications, drawing strength from his proximity to the blessed grave, to send spiritual support to those who needed it most. The generations passed and the Islamic Empire expanded across continents, but Keed, peace be upon him, remained constant in his vigil. He witnessed the rise and fall of dynasties, the construction and destruction of cities, the birth and death of millions of believers, but his attention never wavered from his sacred duty. Through the Umayyad period, through the Abbasid Golden Age, through the Crusades and the Mongol invasions, through the Ottoman Empire and into the modern era, he has remained the silent guardian, the eternal protector, the faithful servant, whose love transcends time itself. Scholars, who have dedicated their lives to studying the blessed biography of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, sometimes speak in hushed whispers of strange phenomena that occur near the Prophet's grave. Visitors report feeling an inexplicable sense of peace that washes over them as they approach, a tranquility so profound that even the most troubled hearts find solace. Some describe catching glimpses of a figure in green robes from the corner of their eyes, a presence that disappears when they turn to look directly, but whose benevolent influence remains palpable. The devil's attempts to disturb the sacred rest of the Prophet, peace be upon him, have never ceased, but they have also never succeeded. With each passing century, his frustration has grown more intense, his hatred more consuming, but Keed's protection has remained as strong as it was on that first day, when he assumed his watch. The immortal Prophet understands that his duty is not merely to guard a physical grave, but to protect the spiritual center of Islam itself, the heart from which divine guidance continues to flow to believers around the world. There are nights when Keed, peace be upon him, engages in direct spiritual combat with the forces of darkness, battles that take place in dimensions beyond human perception, but whose effects ripple through the material world. When corruption threatens to penetrate Muslim societies, when false teachings attempt to masquerade as Islamic truth, when the faithful face persecution or oppression, these cosmic struggles intensify, and Keed's role as protector expands to encompass the entire global community of believers. In these moments of intense spiritual warfare, Keed, peace be upon him, draws upon the infinite mercy and power of Allah, channeling divine energy through his prayers and supplication. He recites the names of Allah, each one like a fortress of light surrounding the blessed grave, each repetition strengthening the barriers that separate the sacred from the profane. Allah Al-Rahman Al-Rahim, Al-Malik Al-Quddus, Al-Salam Al-Mu'min, Al-Mahiman, Al-Aziz Al-Jabbar, Each divine name becomes a weapon against the forces of evil, a declaration of sovereignty that no darkness can challenge. The modern world, with all its technological advancement and scientific discovery, has not diminished the need for Keed's protection. If anything, the new forms of corruption and distraction that characterize contemporary life have made his vigilance more crucial than ever. The devil has adapted his strategies to the digital age, using social media to spread doubt, employing entertainment to distract from remembrance of Allah, utilizing material prosperity to create spiritual poverty. But Keed, peace be upon him, adapts as well, his ancient wisdom finding new ways to counter each satanic innovation. There are reports from reliable sources of strange occurrences in Medina that suggest Keed's presence extends beyond the immediate vicinity of the Prophet's grave. Maintenance workers at the Prophet's mosque sometimes discover that repair work they had planned to complete over several days has been finished overnight with a craftsmanship that exceeds human capability. Security guards occasionally report seeing a figure in green robes walking the corridors in the early hours before dawn, but when they follow to investigate, they find only the lingering scent of paradise and an atmosphere of such profound peace that they are moved to tears. The protection that Keed, peace be upon him, provides extends to all those who approach the blessed grave with sincere hearts and pure intention. Pilgrims often describe feeling as though invisible hands are guiding their steps, as though an unseen presence is facilitating their connection to the spiritual legacy of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Those who come seeking healing find their ailments eased. Those who arrive in despair discover hope renewed. Those who approach in confusion leave with clarity of purpose and renewed faith. But Keed's protection is most clearly manifest in the way he guards against the subtle corruptions that the devil attempts to introduce into Islamic practice and belief. When scholars gather to study the Sunnah of the Prophet, peace be upon him, when students seek to understand the true meaning of Islamic teachings, when believers struggle to distinguish between authentic tradition and innovation, the influence of Keed's presence can be felt as a guide toward truth and away from error. The devil's most insidious strategy has always been to create division among believers, to foster hatred where there should be love, to sow discord where there should be unity. But Keed, peace be upon him, counters these efforts by radiating the harmonious spirit that characterized the Prophet's own community, by promoting the values of compassion, forgiveness, and mutual respect that were the hallmarks of early Islamic society. His very presence serves as a reminder that Islam is a religion of peace, that the true followers of Muhammad, peace be upon him, are those who bring healing rather than harm, who build bridges rather than walls, who seek to understand rather than to condemn. In the quiet hours of the night, when the last pilgrim has departed and the mosque settles into tranquil silence, Keed, peace be upon him, often recites the entire Qur'an in a voice so beautiful that the angels pause in their own worship to listen. Each verse carries with it the memory of the moment when it was first revealed to the Prophet, peace be upon him. Each word, a link in the chain that connects the present moment to that blessed era when divine revelation was being received and preserved for all humanity. The beauty of Keed's recitation is said to be so profound that it reaches the hearts of believers around the world, inspiring them in their own study and memorization of the Qur'an. Students who struggle to understand difficult passages suddenly find clarity. Those who have difficulty memorizing verses discover that the words flow effortlessly. Those who seek to improve their pronunciation hear the perfect articulation echoing in their hearts. As we approach the end times, the significance of Keed's protection becomes even more apparent. The hadiths speak of a period when faith will become strange, when holding on to Islamic teachings will be like grasping hot coals, when the trials and tribulations will test the believers in ways that previous generations could not imagine. In such times, the presence of an immortal guardian who has witnessed the full sweep of Islamic history, who remembers the pure example of the Prophet, peace be upon him, in its original form, becomes a beacon of hope and a source of guidance that no earthly power can provide. The devil knows that his time is limited, that the day of judgment approaches, when his rebellion against Allah will face its final reckoning. His attacks on the grave of the Prophet, peace be upon him, have therefore intensified in recent times, but they have also become more desperate and less effective. Peace be upon him, armed with centuries of experience in spiritual warfare and drawing strength from his unwavering faith, has proven to be an insurmountable obstacle to every satanic scheme. There are moments when visitors to the Prophet's mosque report experiencing what can only be described as miraculous interventions. A man who arrives in Medina consumed by anger and resentment finds his heart softened by an inexplicable wave of compassion. A woman who has lost her faith due to personal tragedy discovers it renewed by a gentle whisper that seems to come from the very walls of the mosque. A young person struggling with doubt and confusion about Islamic teaching suddenly understands with perfect clarity the wisdom and beauty of the Prophet's guidance. These are not coincidences, but manifestations of Keed's ongoing mission to protect not only the physical resting place of the Prophet, peace be upon him, but the spiritual legacy that continues to transform lives across the century. His protection extends to every sincere seeker of truth, every heart that yearns for divine guidance, every soul that struggles to follow the straight path in a world full of distractions and temptation. The relationship between Keed, peace be upon him, and the other prophets who have been granted special roles in the cosmic struggle between good and evil is a source of strength that the devil cannot comprehend. Isa, peace be upon him, who will return before the day of judgment to establish justice on earth, remains in communication with Keed through spiritual channels that transcend physical limitation. Their combined prayers and supplications create a fortress of righteousness that no force of darkness can penetrate. When the time comes for Isa, peace be upon him, to descend from the heavens and assume his role as the final leader of the Muslim community, Keed will be there to witness and support this momentous event. The two immortal servants of Allah will work together to establish the reign of justice and truth that will precede the end of time, and the grave of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, will remain under Keed's protection until the very moment when all souls are gathered for the final judgment. The story of Keed's eternal vigil is not merely a tale from the past, but a living reality that continues to unfold with each passing moment. Every prayer offered in the Prophet's mosque, every verse of the Qur'an recited in his presence, every heart that finds peace in proximity to his blessed grave, is a testament to the ongoing effectiveness of Keed's protection. In the modern era, when skepticism and materialism challenge the foundations of faith, when many people question the existence of the unseen realm and dismiss spiritual realities as superstition, the faithful continue to experience the tangible effects of Keed's guardianship. Scientists may explain away the phenomena as psychological effects or coincidental occurrences, but believers know in their hearts that they are witnessing the ongoing manifestation of divine mercy and protection. The devil's frustration with his inability to penetrate Keed's defenses has led him to adopt increasingly subtle tactics. If he cannot directly assault the grave of the Prophet, peace be upon him, he will attempt to corrupt the understanding of Islam in the minds of believers, to distort the teachings of the Qur'an and Sunnah, to create false divisions and artificial controversies that weaken the unity of the Muslim community. But even these sophisticated strategies are countered by Keed's influence, which works to preserve the authentic spirit of Islamic teaching and to guide sincere seekers toward correct understanding. The immortal Prophet understands that his role is not to intervene directly in human affairs, but to create the spiritual conditions necessary for truth to prevail over falsehood. His protection of the Prophet's grave serves as a metaphor for the protection of Islamic values in a hostile world, a demonstration that the forces of righteousness will always triumph over the forces of corruption when they are supported by divine assistance. As we reflect on this magnificent story of eternal devotion and supernatural protection, we are reminded that faith is not merely a set of beliefs or practices, but a living relationship with the divine that transcends the boundaries of time and space. Keed, peace be upon him, represents the perfection of this relationship, the complete surrender of individual will to divine purpose, the transformation of human love into something eternal and unshakable. His vigil at the grave of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is a love story that encompasses all the greatest themes of human existence. Loyalty that endures beyond death, devotion that transcends personal interest, service that finds its fulfillment in the happiness of the beloved. It is a reminder that true greatness lies not in worldly achievement or recognition, but in the willingness to dedicate one's entire existence to the service of Allah and the protection of what he holds most dear. The devil will continue his futile attempts to corrupt the sacred until the end of time, but he will never succeed as long as servants like Keed, peace be upon him, stand guard with hearts purified by faith and strengthened by divine grace. And so, the story continues to unfold day by day, moment by moment, as this blessed guardian maintains his watch, protects the faithful, and ensures that the light of prophetic guidance continues to shine in a world that desperately needs its illumination. In the blessed city of Medina, where the first Muslim community was established, where the Qur'an was revealed in its completeness, where the Prophet, peace be upon him, lived and taught and prayed and passed from this world to the next, Keed, peace be upon him, continues his eternal vigil. He stands as a bridge between the seen and unseen worlds, a guardian of the sacred, a protector of the faithful, and a living testament to the truth that love, when purified by divine grace, becomes stronger than death itself. This is the story that every believer should know. The account reminds us that we are never alone in our struggles against evil, that the forces of righteousness are always stronger than the forces of corruption, that Allah's mercy extends beyond the grave to protect what is most precious and sacred. In understanding Keed's mission, we begin to understand our own.
For each of us is called to be a guardian of faith in our own time and place, a protector of truth in a world that often seems hostile to spiritual values. The blessed body of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, rests in perfect peace under the watchful care of Keed, peace be upon him. And this protection will continue until the day of judgment, when all souls will be reunited with their Creator. Until that moment, the immortal guardian stands watch. The devil prowls in frustrated rage, and the faithful draw comfort from knowing that the most beloved of Allah's servants remains under divine protection in life, in death, and in the eternal realm beyond.